Hey everybody, welcome back. Ricky here with another one. First and foremost, if you are new to the channel, if you're seeing this for the first time, if you've managed to skim through my content, if you find it to be helpful, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button because I do update my content very often. And of course, to all of my existing subscribers, welcome back. Signs that you are officially over your narcissistic ex. Yes, I know some people have been looking forward to this part, which is actually a good thing. In this video, we're going to talk about the signs that you are finally over the emotional roller coaster. You have finally broken free from the spell, and you are on your way to living a more healthy, fulfilled, and emotional life. Now, we all know that breakups can be pretty hard. Okay, especially if you really cared about the person, if you really love them. And some breakups can actually be pretty bad, brutal, but not nearly as brutal or bad as if you were dealing with a narcissist. Now, breaking up with someone on certain circumstances, it can be hurtful, it can be painful. You go through the motions of a breakup. But when you're breaking up with a narcissist, or if a narcissist decided to discard you, that's totally different because there's more mental instability, mental abuse, emotional abuse, some cases physical abuse. And sometimes you find it hard to break free from a narcissist because you're spellbound. You basically have been through so many ups and downs. The emotional roller coaster had gone in so many different directions, and it left you pretty much confused and dazed. Now, a lot of us know what it is to, either be discarded or have to leave a narcissist. It's mental exhaustion, okay? It's emotional carnage. It's just really, really, it leaves you flipped upside down, all right? And that's also because, of all the manipulation, the mind games, the lies, the hurt, the hurtful things they do, the hurtful things they say, everything. It just it hits you all at once, and it hits you really hard. But in spite of going through all of that, we reach a point where if we've done things the right way, we managed to go through our healing, we managed to actually get the help that we needed, find the right support system. How do we know that we're officially over it? Well, we're going to go over that and take it from there. Now, the first sign, which is probably the most obvious one, is you don't care anymore. Now, when you break up with someone and everything is said and done and you've had some time apart, it's needless to say, you begin to, I don't want to say you begin to stop caring about the person, because I strongly believe that, if you did care, that's just in your nature, that's just who you are. But you don't care with the extent of, you don't care what they do. You don't care who they're with. You don't care what they're doing, who they're doing it with. You just don't care anymore. Once you've broken free from that bond, every and anything that goes on from that point on, and you've actually done the healing, you simply just don't care anymore. Now, in some cases, you may still have mutual friends with the narcissist because, well, they're very skilled at having other people do their dirty work. But the clear-cut sign that you know you're over them is if the mutual friends say anything in reflection to what is going on with your narcissistic ex, your simple response is, I don't care, okay? And that's how you know. So you remember how you felt when everything happened in the instant that it happened from your breakup. From that point to the point of you saying, I don't give a shit, you know that you're over them. You know that you're over the dynamic, and you know that you have finally not only regained your power, but you're finally in control of yourself, your life, your feelings, and you no longer have to worry about it. So if you've reached this stage, kudos. The next sign is you don't hate them anymore. Now, after a breakup, when you're in a period of longing and you're going through the stages, everybody knows all the stages of pain, anger, denial, and, rage and all that. We go through a very immense amount of hatred when we're at those stages. And you realize that you just cannot stand the person. And you start to come to terms with, and this is the level of acceptance, what happened. You start to see everything for what it was. And of course, you go through the motions. You have complete and utter rage and hatred. Well, when you reach the point that you no longer even hate them, that's a sign that you have finally broken free from that horrid spell. The next sign, you feel no guilt for speaking your truth. Now, leaving an abusive relationship is very tough, okay? Whether it's emotionally, mentally, or even physically, extremely tough. And a lot of the time, people are advised to get as far away from the abuser as possible, as quickly as possible. And in some cases, if you left a relationship that had domestic violence, physical abuse, it's best to file a police report. Now, a lot of the time, victims feel guilt in speaking their truth when it comes to their ex. Reason being because they feel like they're betraying their ex. That's a mind frame that people need to get out of. Remember something. Your ex did not feel any sense of remorse when they were doing what they were doing to you. They didn't feel any type of sense of, I'm betraying the person I love. Oh, I'm gaslighting them. I'm manipulating them. I'm lying to them. Oh, maybe I should stop. They didn't have a problem doing that. They didn't have a problem giving you the silent treatment when they knew you were in pain. They didn't have a problem doing any of the horrible things that they did, saying the horrible things that they said. They had no problem doing that. Why? Because you were disposable. To them, you were disposable. So do not feel guilt. Do not feel guilt for speaking your truth, nor speaking the truth, because you know who you are. You know where you stand in this dynamic, okay? Victims need to get out of that mindset. Victims need to get out of victim mode, and they need to get out of the idea that they're betraying someone. You were betraying an illusionist. You're over it when you know that you can speak your truth and not feel ashamed about it. Not worry about judgment. You're not worried about anything, because at the end of the day, you got your power back. So don't be afraid to speak your truth in thinking that this person is going to think that I'm betraying them if I do. Screw them. They didn't mind lying to you. In some cases, they didn't mind cheating on you. They didn't mind entertaining other people behind your back. They didn't mind doing all of the immature things that they did. They were not thinking about you when they did it. So why on earth do you have to worry about them? You don't. And when you don't feel guilty about it, and you're sitting in your truth, and everyone is admiring that because you're strong. The next sign, you're not going through their social media. Probably one of the biggest signs. Reason being is because after any breakup, it is natural to be tempted to be curious as to what's going on. But you got to remember, you're dealing with a narcissist. So when you're dealing with a narcissist, they're very, very vindictive, and they will do any and everything to hurt you. You see, they know that you're going to look at their social media. They know that you're going to go through their things. So they're going to do things to try to hurt you. They're going to do things to try to antagonize you, to try to provoke you, to try to inflict more pain on top of the already pain that they gave you. How do you know you're over it? You don't bother. You don't bother. In fact, you not only do not bother, but you block them. You block them, and it's not even a thought. See, narcissists intuitively know that after the whole ordeal of the discard phase, that you're going to still kind of linger around and looking at their stuff. Okay, so they are going to post up things to antagonize and provoke. For example, they may put up their new supply, put up all kinds of posts and pictures with the new person they're with, or they may even entertain an ex right in front of you, knowing that it's going to hurt you. But that's what they do. Now, you know for a fact that you have completely gotten over it once you've decided, I'm nixing this right now. Block mode, delete, and keep it moving. Out of sight, out of mind. That's how it works. You understand? So once you have gone through your stages, it's to the point where you're no longer forcing yourself to not look at anything. You just refer to number one. Really don't care. The next sign is you no longer feel bad about what happened to you. You know, oftentimes we judge ourselves for how we allow things to happen. Okay, we judge ourselves in that we say, oh, I could have done something different. I could have been better. I should have known better. What the heck was I thinking? Listen, anyone is capable of attracting a narcissist. Anyone is capable of being in a relationship with a narcissist. Unfortunately, some of us have more issues than others in that we allow the toxicity to go on a little bit longer than it should have. But once you get to a point of acceptance, you accepted what has happened, you learned from it, and you're able to use what you've learned as a tool to discern in the future. When you no longer blame yourself, because that was a form of deflection. Remember, the narcissist managed to shift blame to you. And because you spend so much time in that stage, in the early stages, blaming yourself for things crumbling and things falling apart, no. Listen, we all play a role in our relationships, but the role of a narcissist is just plain evil. I'm just going to say it like that. Whatever forces that are behind a narcissist are way worse than what anybody, any codependent, anybody else could do, okay? They are meticulous in the things that they do. The words that they use, the way they say it, the way they do everything, they're meticulous. They're very, very skilled at what they do. And because they managed to get away with it in previous relationships, and they managed to actually get away with so much manipulation and mind games, maybe victims haven't, had the courage to stand up and speak their truth about it. And as a result of it, the narcissists never got called out on their nonsense. They never got exposed for who they really are. And they managed to continuously do that with other victims. But you don't have to be a victim anymore, because once you're over it, you're no longer blaming yourself for it. You're no longer sitting there beating yourself up about it. You're saying, okay, it happened. It happened. I've accepted it. But now I'm going to use what I've learned in this situation to make sure it doesn't happen again. The next sign is you no longer fear them. There's a difference between being, a vigilant person and fearing that any person you come in contact with is going to treat you like the narcissist, or is going to do the things to you that the narcissist has done to you. But when you get to a point of your life that you learn that not everybody is the same, not everybody is going to hurt you, you do at some point have to let your guard down if you want to let someone in. When you fear the narcissist, subconsciously, consciously, emotionally, and mentally, you tend to block yourself from really living. You have people who fear narcissists that physically fear them. They look over their shoulders. They look around to see if they'll end up seeing them. When people attempt to have relationships after dealing with a narcissist, the fear still lingers within them that they are putting the narcissist's face on the next person, and they're seeing the narcissist without really knowing the person themselves. That's living in fear. When you no longer live like that, when you are living more carefree, where you're living in the sense of, I'm not going to allow this to control my life, because if you live in fear, you're still allowing it to control you. Well, when you've gotten to the point that you are over the situation, you're over the dynamic, you're over the narcissist, you're no longer living like that. You are willing to receive. You're willing to go out there, try new things. You're willing to really be your true, authentic self. And you're willing to allow someone to come in and really appreciate that. The next sign, you look healthier. You know you're over your narcissistic ex when you look healthier. Now, at the time of going through the motions, people either put on weight or they lose weight. They are going through so many different motions, different emotions, different psychological problems, where in some cases, some people might not eat, or some people may overeat. There are different stages when you're going through the motions of dealing with the narcissist, breaking up with the narcissist, or being discarded by one. But you start to look healthier. You even look at old pictures of yourself and you say, wow, there is a huge difference from, let's say, 1 year ago to today. You're healthier, you're more vibrant, you're more active, you're more in tune with yourself. The next sign, you have ironclad boundaries. Now, if you noticed before, you really didn't have boundaries, which means that you let everybody do and say what they wanted because you were the people pleaser. You were always saying yes to everything. You, even though it was something that you wouldn't normally say yes to, you did it because you just wanted to make sure everybody else was happy. You wanted to prove yourself. You really did. You wanted to prove yourself as being a worthy person, and you had to work double time to do that. Meantime, people didn't really respect you, and they didn't respect you so much to the point where they really crossed boundaries with you. And because you were, in a sense, in their eyes, naive, and you were basically willing to be the people pleaser, they can cross as many boundaries as they wanted, and you wouldn't say anything. Well, you know that you're over it when all the yes, 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 all the okay, all right, no problem, yeah, we can, yeah, you can, becomes no. No is actually your favorite word now, because the boundaries that you set up protects you. You are no longer putting everybody else ahead of you. You are now putting yourself first. You're no longer allowing anyone else to take advantage of you. You're no longer allowing anyone to tell you what it is they're going to do in your life, and you have to be okay with it. You're not doing that anymore. Your boundaries are pretty much up to here, and you're daring anybody to cross that. So kudos to you, because boundaries, a lot of people can be afraid to put them up, but trust me, as much as you may be afraid to do it, it's extremely necessary. And lastly, you are living for you. You are doing things for you, okay? Now, normally, it's normal. It's normal that people will try to do things and show off, not show off, but show their exes, look at what you're missing out on. But you get to a point where you're no longer trying to do that anymore. You're just living. You're living. You're enjoying life. You're enjoying your peace. You're enjoying your newfound sanity. You're enjoying, in some cases, sometimes you're enjoying your solitude. You're enjoying your life. You're not living to impress anyone. You're not living to show off to anyone. You're doing more constructive things with your life. You are doing things that you never even got a chance to do when you were with the narcissist. And though you don't forget about what has happened throughout your life, and I say that because who knows? You may have been with just one narcissist. You may have been with quite a few, but you don't forget what it has done to you. You just don't let it control you. You don't let it control your life. You don't let it dictate what it is that you are doing with yourself. It does not define you. Abuse does not define you, okay? You define you. So because you're out there living your life, you're enjoying it, you're going out places, you can do things on your own. You do things independently. You do things to the point where you take yourself out to the movies. You go out to have dinner on your own. You go for a nice walk or stroll through the park. You're doing things for you. You are accomplishing things that you never thought you could. You're still the same person that you've always been, but you're just more modified now because you have experience. I look at it that way. It gives you experience. It's a lesson. It's a very, very tough and hard lesson, but that pearl of wisdom is what you get out of it. And you really you can do so much with your life from that point on. You know that you're over the toxicity, the dynamics, the narcissists themselves. When you no longer care, when you are living for you and you are enjoying your life, nothing that anyone says or does matters to you. Okay? You are already surrounded by people who matter to you, and you are already surrounded by people who support you, who care about you, who appreciate you, and who genuinely and wholeheartedly love you. Well, guys, I am smiling because finally a positive, real positive video. But these are the signs that, or some of the signs I should say, that you are over your narcissistic ex. If you have any further signs or any further testimonies, so to speak, leave me a comment. I really like to see it. I really like to know because, again, you never know who needs to see it. Maybe they need confirmation and they're not sure and I hadn't mentioned it in the video. So please be sure to do so. But I do hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I do hope that it did, at least give some kind of comfort to people. And hopefully we can continue on this journey and really help other people get to this point. Get to this point of getting over it. Get to this point of no longer torturing themselves, no longer beating themselves up, no longer blaming themselves, and finally get through their healing, because you can survive it. Anybody can survive it. And I want to make sure of that because everybody deserves love. I'm a firm believer of that. Everybody deserves love and nobody is perfect and we all have our own issues. We all go through our own things. But you know what? If you're not a manipulative, conniving, deceitful person and you're just someone who really just needs to be understood, there's always a way to get through that. So let's help people get to this point, to this stage of finally getting over the narcissist. So guys, that's my time. I will be working on my next video. I do hope again that you enjoyed. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and I'll be speaking to you soon.